It's time for the Richmond Lowdown again, Don.
Yes, it is, Doris. So that would mean?
I think we better be talking.
Here we are.
Here we are. Another
Once
day.
again.
Another bright and sunny day in Richmond.
You know, down here in Scum Hollow,
Oh.
we was at the Bible study. And we was all a-listening. This goes back a few years. And they was a reading about how there was this begatting going on.
Begatten?
Yeah. So-and-so begat so-and-so. And boy, there was just a lot of that begatting going on.
Pages and pages of begatting.
Oh, criminy Pete, there must have been 500 begattings in the Bible.
Mm-hmm. Well, there had to be more people. I mean, that's the way you go from Adam and Eve to a full earth.
Yeah, well, certainly later on, as you got more people, there was more begatting. And so we was figuring it out.
You do remember this is not an X-rated program, I want to remind you.
Have I ever stooped to anything that would seem, outside of Franz Beaver, that would seem remotely? So anyway,
Can I take the fifth? Okay.
we decided, as long as Franz Beaver is really the number one tourist attraction, that we're going to change Sadie Hawkins Day to Begetting Day. And in all the local bars, it is going to be acceptable for the young men of this town to approach the young women of this town and say, "Excuse me, I was reading the Bible. Would you care to begat with me today? Because it is Begetting Day."
Orgies are us.
Or what?
Orgies are us.
Sure, that'll work.
Okay.
We're going to actually give out coupons to Larry's Motel outside of town on Highway G.
Coupons?
Well, he's close to that big cross for the evangelical church in town. So that way we're going to figure somehow it's going to be sanctioned by the church. So anyway, I was just thinking about that and wanted to just share that with you before we go back to our sister city in Richmond and let you know that Franz Beaver is just fine. Still loves carrots. Everything's good in town. How are things going in Richmond?
Richmond. It's chugging along.
I still say that Richmond is probably the least known third world city in the state of Indiana.
Well, I think it was Money Magazine had this list of the richest cities in every state and the poorest city in every state. And I hate to, say this, but we didn't make the poorest city. That was that honor went to Connorsville.
Does your heart proud?
But I think we were in the running.
Oh yeah. Oh, we had to be in the running.
Along with Gary and East Chicago and.
Oh yeah. And for those of you that think that you have lived in a city that is plagued with crime, take a trip to Gary sometime. You'll love that city.
And of course, you know what they call Chicago now. Chirac. 2,300
shootings so far this year. They think it could go as high as 5,000.
That makes it a war zone.
People, we're better than this. I understand that we have been talking about this crazy election and how it's so important that we don't allow our fear and our anger to start to rule any decision process that doesn't include calling people names, demeaning people. There was a segment at the Democratic National Convention of a couple who were named the Khans, K-A-H-N, who were American Muslims. and the very people that Donald Trump would want to throw out of this country and never let them back, along with the Mexicans and Jesus, whoever else he wants to get rid of. And this guy gave a talk about his son who was killed in Afghanistan, and how to this day, it happened in 2004, was it? Or
No, I thought it was 2, but I could be wrong.
I think
It was a while ago.
And how to this day his wife is unable to look at his picture
She hasn't even changed his room.
without crying. And that because of that, she chose not to say anything. And this guy came up with an indictment against Trump and his hate-mongering that's going to stick. This may be the moment that this election is going to change. You know, it's one thing to be angry. It's one thing to point the finger all the time and say what's wrong with America. You know, it's probably the worst, best place to live in the world.
Well, we're always a work in progress, and that's the way I always look at it. I mean, people can say you're very negative if you point out what's wrong, but I think that I think by pointing out what's wrong and working, tinkering with it, trying to improve it, it gets more closer to all the stuff that's right in America.
So here's where the anger, I think, starts. You know, this election isn't about crooked Hillary or crazy Donald. This election is about your congressmen and your senators who have refused to work together because we have a president that one party doesn't like. So they're not going to participate in the process of doing anything to make anything better.
If we can't win, we're not going to play. And who would go into any kind of game or match or contest, or if the rule was, if we can't win, we're not going to play?
And the anger that we all have is the frustration that we think we can't do anything about it. And you can't. It's built into the system. You know, we said last week about Will Rogers, who was a great comedian in the 30s. He said even then, we had the best government that money can buy. Money is power, and power is enticing, is making our Congress people do what they always did, take care of themselves. It is why they came out with a study that half of the bases in the United States could be closed to save money. But Congress is not going to do that because everyone has a cash cow in his state. And to keep them open means that the local general store and the local Walmart are filled with people who work at the base. And we constantly complain about people living on welfare. Isn't that welfare?
It's what they like to call corporate or political welfare, yeah.
See, it's always easy to demean everybody who is out of a job, is a drug-addled, crazy,
lazy, good-for-nothing person who, on Fox News last year, I forget which one of the bubbleheads that came up with this and said, you know that these people actually have TVs and refrigerators? Yeah.
As though you should keep your meat in a bucket full of ice and you don't deserve to have a television. And we wonder why this country is in the condition that it's in.
Well, we have sort of a strange wanting to punish the poor. And, it comes from that old gospel of wealth. If you're wealthy, then God must love you, and you must be a righteous person. And America's kind of infected with that belief. And the contrary is, if you're poor, God must not love you, and you must be secretly doing something really wrong.
And if you're poor and you're black,
Oh my, you got 2 strikes.
here's what we need to do. We need to put you in a part of the city. Chicago was great for that. They had the Robert Taylor homes, Cabrini Green, and they would just herd them all into a confined area of high-rise buildings where the elevators never worked and they weren't air-conditioned.
The halls were dirty and smelled like urine and were full of graffiti.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and then wonder why
Been there, seen that.
you end up with a generation of young people who are angry that they lived in something like that. And I know that you're all going to say, you know what, if they'd get off their butts and go out and get a job. But you know what, there's a lot of people today that actually have jobs that are, in fact, working 2 jobs
Or
that still
3.
are living under the poverty level.
Well, as I told you, I had a full-time job for 35 years. A job that required a master's degree. And I didn't break federal poverty line until my kids graduated and were out of the home.
So I'm an old guy. I remember the days in America that we had a thing called compassion for one another. And we actually took care of our neighbors. And if somebody lost a job and they didn't have any money, people got together and got groceries for them and made sure that their heating bill was paid. And we actually tried to help one another. Today, not so much. We have been isolated, and it is by design that we're all isolated. We sit in our homes, and I'm as guilty as anybody.
Plugged into our electronics.
I sit at that damn computer, and I made a mistake last week, or actually it was last month, and somehow in placing my order with Amazon, signed up for Amazon Prime. Now, I could have gotten a hold of them and said, I made a mistake. This $10 I don't want to spend for Amazon, until I found out that all of my shipping
It's free.
So here's what I do. I get on Amazon every day and just pick something out, and I buy it.
You're really putting that...
I can buy things now for $13 and they ship it for free. And I think it comes air freight. And the nice thing about it happened to me yesterday. By the time it comes, it's like Christmas every day. I've forgotten what the hell I bought. So yesterday, they come up with 2 little things, and I open them up, and it's, wow, I remember ordering this. This is what, and I'm happy for the day.
I know.
I want to get back to the cons. I have a way of drifting. And the response that Donald Trump has given as to how they had no right to attack him, and moreover, if they're going to attack him, then he's going to attack back. In fact, that's what you hear all the Republicans saying right now. You know what, let's get on with it. Let's just get on with it. This is a political ploy. It's a dirty trick. And this guy, he was put up to this. And then he said, Donald did, that what's interesting about it is that the woman couldn't speak. She wasn't allowed to speak. And you could just
Donald
see,
Trump, champion of womanhood. Yeah, that really, really is believable.
you can just see some Democrat somewhere say, excuse me, Donald, here's another shovel. And just digging himself deeper into a ditch. I have a son that is an avid Donald Trump supporter. And he called me.
We should set Shiva for you.
Huh?
I said we should we should hold a Shiva for him.
He called me and said, you know what? You're right. The man's an idiot. I'm trying not to be political about this because I have absolutely no love for Hillary Clinton. She has faults. There is no doubt about the fact that she is a flawed candidate.
But she's not incompetent. She's not unintelligent. She's not crazy.
She is the ultimate hold your nose and vote for her because the other guy will destroy this country. And he will. You can't have a narcissist. And I actually think that the guy, Doris and I were talking about this, I think he is a sociopath. I really do.
I do too.
He has absolutely no feelings for anybody else. This guy Khan was on the news this morning saying that he has no empathy for anyone. You can't have a president who actually can't understand the pain that another person goes through.
Well, the other thing is a guy who basically says being a Muslim, being the religion of Mohammedan is an evil religion, that Muslims can't be really trusted as Americans, that they can't even actually be Americans or shouldn't be Americans, that they need to all be vetted, that we need to not let them in the country. I mean,
well, I think,
and I think that and suspect their patriotism for the Muslim American community, suspect that, and imply that they're all terrorists, and he can't conceive that was throwing so many hard attacks and punches at these people. And here this couple comes up with a son who died in military service, and who posthumously he was a captain, and he was posthumously awarded a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart.
well, here's the thing. There are things that you can go after in this country. In fact, there aren't many things that you can't say about somebody. You can attack their religion, you can attack their race, you can attack whatever. But a Gold Star family is one of those things that has always been sacred. If you have a son or a daughter who has given their life to defend America, then no one, not Donald Trump, not anybody, has the right to attack that family for grieving, for wanting to talk about, for any cathartic thing that they want to do to make it better, because the pain of that can't be imagined. And that's why I say that Trump has got to be a sociopath. He doesn't have the ability to understand that people go through pain. When he doesn't pay his bills and tells people, go ahead and take me to court and sue me to get the money that I owe you. When he just walks away from deals by a bankruptcy. And I was talking to someone last week, and I actually think for all of you that don't get this about this election, how important it really is, that if Trump wins, I want to get a collection up. It's like the group prayer we had to get rid of Pence in Indiana, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, it worked. And he is now our vice presidential.
Don't even go with Pence on vice presidential candidate. Talk about another numbnut.
It just won't come out of my mouth. But here's what we're going to do if Trump wins. We're going to go to what's that place where they have all the people etched in stone in the
Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore, that's the thing. And we're going to get $28 billion collected, and Trump he's going to lead this campaign.
Oh, I bet he will.
And what we're going to do is change the faces on Mount Rushmore.
You're going to take down Lincoln and Jefferson.
Oh yeah, this is far more
Washington
important. This is far more important. Because when Trump gets elected, we're going to put up the guys from Duck Dynasty.
Oh, God.
And in the middle, Donald Trump. The entire Duck Dynasty group ensemble.
Is Chachi Scott Bell, is he going to be up there too?
No, Chachi he doesn't have the chops.
He's just going to get a little bronze statue near the entrance or something? No?
No, we're going to make him Secretary of State.
Oh.
See how this works?
Yeah, I do.
And, of course, Chris Christie is going to be a Supreme Court justice.
Because he's so righteously legal and...
And the Department of Education is going to be operated by Turtle Man.
There you got me, Don. Once again.
And I might add,
I'm glad I wasn't drinking because I would have snorted that right out my nose.
and we are going to fill out the cabinet with a female who will run the Department of All Things Important.
His daughter?
Nope.
Nope.
Honey Boo Boo.
Honey Boo Boo. Oh, poor Honey Boo Boo.
An all-star cast. Boy, would that be a traveling show. Trump, Duck Dynasty, Honey Boo Boo, Turtle Man.
You know,
God, bail.
it would be the Midway gene exemplified for the whole world to see. Yes, the carnival gene. Yes.
So, all of this, believe it or not, is trying to get to a point. And, I can say in 10,000 words what it takes Doris to say in 5 words. But I was in sales all my life and can't help myself. So, we have, in this country, a chance to change things. And all elections are local. That's where it all starts. It starts with the candidates that you have to work with in this third world city in Indiana called Richmond.
True.
And within the city of Richmond, we have still, until Donald gets through dismantling it, 2 parties. We have Republican people that run, we have Democratic people that run. And here's what you in Richmond need to do. You need to understand what goes on behind the scenes in beautiful Richmond. And one of the people sitting at this table is an elected official with the Republican Party.
No, not the Republicans.
Or the Democratic Party.
Thank you.
And here's some insight that you might want to listen to.
Well, first of all, very, very rarely do local Democrats have a full slate of candidates. I think they think that, sitting out there somewhere, somebody who identifies as a Democrat suddenly says, I think I'll run for that office. When, in fact, real effective parties go out and try to approach people and cultivate people that they think would be good for a certain office, and they encourage them to put their name in, and register to run.
And then work to get them elected.
We don't do that here. So out of, we did have 3 Democratic candidates running for a much wider group of positions. Only 3. 1 dropped out.
Wasn't it in 7 positions?
It was 7 positions.
So it's less than 500 you're batting in this.
So instead of 3 candidates running for the 7 open slots, and that's not counting some of the county trusteeship positions, but instead of 7, we have now 2. And to date, the local Democratic Party head and the party as a whole.
What's his name again?
Dakota Collins.
Okay.
He has not lifted a finger in his 15 months in office to fill that slate of candidates or to get these people elected, to mobilize the vote, to register people.
Allow me to be Dakota's champion for just a moment.
Oh, gosh.
Let me tell you what he has done.
Okay.
He has put forward, bravely and boldly, a new set of bylaws.
Yes, and you know how I feel about those.
Now, just a moment. He has set them out for the world to see. He has set them out for some people. Well, a few people know about this. And it's going to be a good thing, rather than trying to get candidates and turn out the vote, to have a new set of bylaws.
Yes, because all the new bylaws guarantee that all information and power remains and stays with Dakota.
As it should be in a democracy.
Because he knows best, right?
As it should be in a democracy.
Because his 24 years on this planet have equipped him with so much knowledge, wisdom, compassion, experience.
Sounds like he's a Republican.
Yeah, and what was it you said we should do for Dakota? Take up a collection and Send him to Trump University.
Yeah, if you really want to be a grabbing person, you'd want to learn from the best. And I think we need to take up a little collection to send this boy out to Trump U to learn how to be a real dick.
But he wears a suit and he smiles a lot.
Moving on.
He's got a good short haircut.
So, inasmuch as all politics are local, we all sit here and none of us know about this. And you know whose fault it is that we don't know about this? All of us.
Well, this is the thing. It's not enough to... And most Americans do not vote. Most Americans who are eligible to vote do not vote. And it's not enough just to show up at a primary or an election and vote. You actually got to be informed about those candidates. And most people don't want to take the time or don't even know how to go about being informed or what the issues are or what those candidates are likely to do once they're in power. And when they are in power, Don, we go to sleep until the next election.
Well, we can't be bothered because we're watching Duck Dynasty and NASCAR.
Okay, so Dave Snow gets elected, not really because of Dakota Collins' efforts, but because the only candidate that the Republicans locally could find to run really was not one that even the Republicans wanted. So Dave Snow gets in office. And now we're all sitting and waiting, thinking, okay, he's going to do great things. I'd like to know what he's going to do. I'd like to know what those great things are and
the first thing somebody ought to do is give him a map to find his office in City Hall.
Ooh, ouch, I love that.
That would be, I think, a good, because...
You mean the office should be open and the phone should be actually answered?
Yeah.
Oh.
Say what you want about Sally. She was there every day. That might be something that Mr. Snow might want to learn. We didn't elect you as a I don't know, part-time mayor.
We also did not elect him to be the puppet with Dakota pulling the strings and controlling, all the the initiatives.
Well, I think Dakota's more like the sidekick that...
I think Dave Snow would like to think Dakota's the sidekick.
Well, but what happens with sidekicks is they're power-grabbing people, sort of like Dakota, making himself the head of the party and then changing the rules to make him even more the head of the party where nobody has a vote other than him. Yeah, these kind of guys are always good to run for public office, because that way he'll make a great state congressman and then a congressman for the United States. So they're already preconditioned to walk over to K Street. This is my first day. I'd like my first check, please, and I will vote for whatever you want me to. That's what's wrong with politics. The people that put up the people are the very people that we need to get rid of.
Well, I want to talk about it. Dakota did away with dues. Now, our dues were $15 a year. And I can tell you that all of us could have afforded that $15 a year. But he's going to go and find, in Richmond now, I know this is going to sound incredible, big donors to do all the things he needs to do. And it's kind of like he doesn't get that when a person puts up their little measly $15, they actually have made a commitment.
Yeah, they actually have a stake in what happened.
That's the base.
But if you're going to be a dictator, then you grab the power, you usurp the power, and then you create your own set of friends to give you the money to carry out the things that you want to do that now you have the power to do because of the new bylaws.
And I want to go to the mayor again. I know he puts in public appearances at different at charity and other events. Like recently, I think it was this weekend for Pet Walk, he got up on the stage and married 2 dogs. He married them. He performed a wedding ceremony for 2 dogs. I guess the audience loved it.
Ain't that a bitch?
Ooh.
Well, one of them had to be. I'm hoping either that or we've gone well beyond the gay thing. That's another thing I want to talk about is gay dog marriage. Should be illegal.
It should be illegal.
And you know what? When they go to the bathroom, there ought to be a separate area
For gay dogs.
for gay dogs, especially transgender gay dogs, to go to the bathroom because it's an issue.
And you know all those little chihuahuas that are dressed up in suits and they have little bows on, pasted on
They
them?
should never go to the bathroom.
They should have a special bathroom because
Absolutely.
they might be transgender dogs.
Absolutely. And we have to hate them.
And you know that gayness is catching.
Well, the gay ninja crowd, the guys that dress up in black and skulk around your neighborhood after midnight, and
Right.
if they break into your house the next morning, you wake up gay.
And the man or woman who's really the opposite, they're just laying in wait in those, those women's restrooms. They're
Oh, yeah.
laying in wait to flip your sex, your gender.
Absolutely, which is why we need more guns.
Right, and you got to protect the children because that
They
little
are
child...
they are not children, they are children.
Children. Well, those little children that go in to use the bathroom, they may go in a boy or a girl and come out the opposite.
Which is why little children need to have a gun. And then it'll all stop. We just need more guns.
Isn't there some state that is actually now going to allow guns on campuses?
Yes?
Is that scary you at all, Don?
Oh, no.
No?
No, because here's the nice thing about everybody carrying a gun. Let's assume that the perpetrator walks into a class in any college where they have about 300 kids at a lecture, and he starts shooting.
Yeah.
Then all the kids get up, and they, number one, have to figure out who it is they're shooting at.
Oh, yeah.
But as they're standing up, they see another 65 people standing up with guns.
So they can just all shoot each other.
So then you just start shooting at anybody that has a gun.
And maybe the odds will work in your favor and you'll actually get the guy who started it.
It could be, but here's the I think what they haven't considered is the fact that the guy that originally came in to shoot people, had a clip of 50 and could have killed 50 of them, but with 50 or 80 people shooting at one another, and God knows, I don't think anybody's going to walk out alive.
Well, but it is sometimes actually hard to hit people. I also want to bring in a little parallel. Do you remember when Donald Trump said he was just going to give nukes to everybody? No. I just want you to imagine all these little crazy nations, with nukes.
Well, it's me just trying to put in a moment here. I think we need a baby Jesus moment. I think we ought to all get down on our knees and pray that all of this bad stuff is going to go away. Because baby Jesus doesn't want this to happen. And I think if we would just dedicate, say, 10 minutes of our time every day and just say a prayer so that things will get better, maybe it'll get better.
But who do we pray to?
Baby Jesus.
But some people say we should pray to Jehovah or God or Elohim or, I don't know. I mean, aren't there many names for God?
Well, then there's baby Jehovah and baby all the rest of them. Everybody has babies.
Is not God God?
And assistant God is baby Jesus. He sits at the right hand, doesn't he?
The right hand of who?
Big Jesus.
I think you need to reread your scripture. Maybe take us a couple remedial Sunday school classes.
All right, enough of letting this get out of control here.
It's always out of control time.
Folks,
We're out of control and we're really over time.
you need to really get involved in local politics. You need to start taking control of your own lives. You know, to stand here and blame the banks for what went wrong, okay, they bankrupted the country, and big business is screwing you, and big pharma is screwing you, and you know why? Because we do nothing to stop them.
Right.
Start electing people that are going to fight for your rights. Get off your ass and actually go to a Democratic or a Republican or a whatever libertarian meeting. But Jesus, try to do something.
And not once every 2 to 4 years. You got to do it all the time. I listen to the Richmond gossip rumor mill. You can run it. You can run into it at a grocery store, a school, a park, a ball game, a bar. Everybody in town knows all the dirty deals and all the dirty secrets, and yet we don't stop them.
And that's the thing. I mean, this is going to be the worst country in the world, as you actually believe it's the worst country in the world. And it probably is the best country in the world.
Again, we're a work in progress.
Yeah, as is the show.
And we always have to keep tinkering. You know, those dishes have to be done every day. The beds have to be made. Our country needs to be righted all the time.
You know, when you get married, that's a commitment. And the marriages that work, people live up to their commitments to make the marriage work.
And they work on them moment by moment, day by day, year by year.
And here's the thing about a democracy. It can't work if the people aren't willing to invest in the democracy.
We, the people. Get that? It's government of, by, and for the people. And we just want to put that in somebody else's hands and let them do or not do their jobs.
Sure, and here's the problem with that. I'm going to give up my right to do anything about anything, and then I'm going to stand here and bitch about the fact that I don't have anything to say about the things that are going wrong in my life.
And as you're always telling me, nobody knows what we need or want better than we do ourselves. Take responsibility.
On that heavy note,
Bye.
Be nice to one another.
Play well.
And play nicely with one another, or with one another.